We're back here with Pepe, Julian, Onziema, the human rights activist from Uganda. Let's talk about some of the details of US influence. We saw in the Morning Breeze clip that you were asked about recruitment, the recruitment that gays indulge in. Is this a widely held belief in Uganda, this recruitment? It
is, and it's Scott Lively that planted the whole idea of recruitment in my community, in my society. The organization that I work for, Sexual Minorities Uganda, was formed in 2004, and generally the political, social justice movement around sexual orientation and gender identity began like early 2000, maybe 2000, 2001. And the opposition we were facing at that time did not mention recruitment. It did not mention pedophilia. It did not, it was not that of persecution.
Right.
It was just either people ignoring us or writing glamorous stories about us. We saw a shift in 2007 when we had sort of a coming out campaign. We had a 45 days media campaign where we're going to TV stations, doing interviews with print media and radio. And immediately after we launched that campaign, SEMPA formed, SEMPA and other religious leaders, including Muslims, formed the coalition, the Rainbow Coalition against homosexuality.
The rainbow belongs to God. See? It's a catchy song. Hateful message, catchy song. Undeniably catchy tune.
True.
There's nothing more dangerous than a really catchy tune. Yes, that's the interesting thing. It wasn't just... in many ways, it kind of united extremist religious groups in Uganda, didn't
Absolutely.
it? Extremist Muslims, extremist Christians. They were all united around the very convenient scapegoat of LGBT members.
Yes, they did. And 2009... So from that time, we kept on seeing this resistance to us. And there was this huge backlash. And people started leaving the country, people went underground. But we kept on working. There was no closure of offices or raiding of our meetings and so on. And we saw that shift in 2009, March. After that seminar, the seminar was supposed to last for a week. It lasted, I think, officially for 2 weeks. Unofficially, Scott Lively was in the country for more than 2 weeks. A month.
It was like a hateful Hanukkah. It was supposed to last 1 week.
Yes.
Lasted for 2.
And during this time, he came with that doctrine that if you continue allowing activism, advocacy around sexual orientation and gender identity, you will have no generation. Because homosexuals are here to recruit your children.
Right. This is also coming from the top down in Uganda, because President Museveni has argued that the West has cultivated homosexuality. He called it social imperialism. Do people in Uganda genuinely believe that we in the West invented homosexuality and franchised it like a Happy Meal?
Yes.
They really do?
They really do. President Museveni, I think, for some time before he actually signed the law, what we were seeing was a change in his attitude towards homosexuality. He very many different times said that homosexuals exist, but they've never been persecuted. And the persecution was disturbing him. He didn't understand where that was coming from until, I guess, when it became very catchy to continue persecuting homosexuals in Uganda. So I guess he jumped on the bandwagon as well.
What can we do? Because in the West, we like to think that we have the solution for anyone's problems overseas. So is there... I mean, we're trying sanctions now. Is there anything sanction or drone-based that we could do? Because we love those, because we can do those from here. We can stay, and then we can help you from Utah.
The US let me tell you
That was such a long pause. That was such a consider. The US, look. Do you think the sanctions are helpful or harmful?
In my opinion, very harmful.
Really?
Not just harmful, but very harmful.
Why? Why so?
Because I live on the ground.
Right.
Right? I know we issued guidelines on what people could do, and we are divided on this issue. There are people who believe that sanctions will work. Some believe it won't work, and I'm one of those people who believes that it doesn't work, because however targeted it is, we are the ones who end up suffering. I'll give you an example. In the recent sanctions, there's aid cut from community policing.
Right.
And we were trying, you know, we had laid grounds to engage the police, because we know the police is the immediate violator of LGBT people, arresting when the community call on them, and taking that money away from them, taking away that funding from them to continue community policing. Right. Endangers us. Why I say that is because in instances where the community is attempting mob justice, there's like police everywhere, so they come and intervene. When they intervene, the mob is away. They save you for that moment. Of course, they will take you in custody and treat you as a homosexual. But that initial reaction is very important. It's very important.
Now, let's just talk a little bit more about LGBT issues across Africa, because the anti-gay laws are not just in Uganda. They've spread across Africa. 37 African countries now have anti-homosexuality laws. How did this happen? Is this a question of religious principle, or is there a lot of domestic politics going on with this? It's both.
Actually, when you look at it, politics and religion are like so in bed together. There's religion that our communities hold very, very, very close. When it comes to other issues, from history, religion came from outside Africa. But why our African leaders and African, mainly leaders, hold so tightly onto it, and then they say homosexuality that has existed in Africa for long, they say that it's from West, it becomes very...
But that is the most demonstrably false thing they could possibly say. You know, you can't say... There are anthropologists who have pointed out that in pre-colonial times, homosexual marriages were treated as equal to heterosexual marriages among the Azande people in the Central African Republic.
Politicians don't want to hear that.
But in Uganda, there were pre-colonial words in Uganda for homosexual that were not derogatory. What's clear is that
aware that my president actually agrees.
The crazy thing in researching this was realising that homophobia is not indigenous to Africa. Mm-hmm. Homosexuality has been there for, let's say...
Forever.
I was going to say 200 years. But sure, let's say... You're right, forever. Yeah. Forever. But homophobia has been introduced later.
Yes. I believe that homophobia is the very thing that is actually from outside Africa. The Bible came and different things happened. Whatever kept us together, something had to be used to divide us. So that there's this whole mess within the Ugandan or African settings, so that there's submission that is enforced in people, right? However much homophobia came from the West or came from Britain, I think we have to move beyond blaming people.
Right.
Yeah? We've been educated over the years. We are learning more about our history, and we know the truth. Yeah? But we are wasting our potential, we are wasting our intelligence, our human resource, our humanity, blaming people who have moved on. I think that's a waste of time, and we have to move on.
How have your family been through this? Have they been? Are they frightened of your activism? Have they been supportive of you? My
family is great.
Oh God, that's great. Really, that's good. That's awesome. I can't thank you enough, Pepe. I've been in researching this story this week. It's been because there are really happy things happening here regarding equality, and there has been a sad experience learning about our role in this. There's nothing we can do. You sure just one drone?
No drone.
Just one drone. One drone, Pepe.
No, thank you.
Well, you've not tried it. You can't say that. You've not tried it yet. It might help. You don't know. We'll get one drone. We're agreed. One drone. We'll try it. We'll just try it for the sake of it, Pepe. Thank you so much for being with us. Pepe, Julian, Onziema, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Pepe. I can't thank you enough. That was awesome. Was that okay? Is there anything...